Due to this overreaction, this constant hypervigilance, hyper-alertedness, hyper-fear, it becomes a prison, a self-inducing prison of sorts. Now, if I segment this to corporate section, how it destroys their career. Let's take the scenario that there's an employee. Let's call him the burnt employee, the burnout employee, which is very predominant in the corporate space. Some common patterns exist across the board is we have had bad bosses, toxic workplaces, a lot of us are being exploited by these evil people. Some people say there's no growth, but often that's a facade. So when they're moving into new companies, no growth becomes the sweet mirror to hide all these shitty things in the background. In reality, they themselves know that they're just. Yo guys, namaskaram. So in this video, I wanted to talk about a book by Robert Greene, which is known as 33 Strategies of War. And in the coming videos, would talk on specifically various chapters, certain breakdowns and certain learnings which we can have. So today I would break down this chapter which is known as Do Not Fight the Last War. This is chapter 2. And I thought it's pretty interesting because what happens in life is that we are often made to react to the immediate situations that are in our vicinity. But this is where we need to flip the script of reacting to the long term things, responding in a very conscious manner to the current battles, and then seeing whether these battles would make any sense from a long term perspective or not. So, a lot of us think that we are being wise when we take all these learnings and traumas from our past, and then we stop acting due to fear, thinking that that same old patterns or scripts might play out. So it's like we are responding to the past situation in the present moment instead of seeing what actively exists in the present moment right here in now, and then taking active steps. What happens is I've seen a lot of people saying, I've learned my lesson. I won't let that happen again. I'm more conscious now. But Robert Greene gives us this brutal warning that our tendency to fight the last war may lead to your final war. What this basically means that if you're still responding to the current situation with how things used to be in the past, this can lead to a doom. We may not exist from a business perspective or whatever battles you're fighting in your life. It's just about the psychological inertia that we feel at times, and that inertia just seeps into a lot of things, be it our careers, relationships, the creative lives which we may want to lead, mental health at times, because a lot of us keep on struggling our demons from the past, letting go of the opportunities that exist right now or the opportunities that we can create in the future through our hard work or rigor now. A lot of us carry these baggages from the past which are sometimes just acting as dead weight. So in English there's a very common saying that drop the dead weight. So that's the need for the hour, because a lot of generations are just ruined by carrying this generational trauma for no different reason. So this video would talk about how we are still reacting to those events years later. Let's just break these things down on a step-by-step level. First, you might ask that what does fighting the last war mean? So in warfare, generals often prepare for the previous conflict, not the next one. What this basically means is in the present there are new technologies appearing, new sort of battlefield strategies emerging with your competitors, new sorts of enemies are cropping up or competition. But what had happened in the past, like the old formations, the old assumptions, the old fears, we still use that. So in that book he talks about how this German general, instead of reacting or studying Napoleon's tactic of war, he still responded to that situation from the old war formations or learnings that he have had, and that's what led to his defeat. So in life also a similar thing happens on an internal level, that we are not just fighting reality. A lot of times these events or the current reality takes us to this place in our past and takes out these wounds from our memory, and then we just start reacting to those memories of our past, whereas right this second all of those things do not exist. Why does this exist? If we go in a little bit of depth, the human mind feels a sense of fear when some unknown things come in its own vicinity. We hate uncertainty, we like predictability and a pattern. A lot of painful experiences that we might have had in our past, either through a naivety, either through how innocent we were as children. When those painful experiences happen, we tend to create these mental shortcuts. You might have seen that a lot of us say that never trust again, such gender is evil, such gender is good, don't take a lot of risks, don't speak openly. don't commit to anyone, don't hope too much from life. So these are defense mechanisms or defense reflexes, but often we like to market these tendencies or fear as wisdom. That I'm not entering such situations because I've grown wise. You have seen people and idiots talking like this. Whereas the truth is, if you look at their actions in life, they just fear a lot of things. Now, if I come from a Gita perspective, even Arjun had all those fears, but still Krishna was removing all his ignorance for making him fight the war, for making him fight the right battle. He was, in a way, in a metaphorical way, bringing his mind to the present action, the action that needs to happen. Whereas Arjun was living in all these pasts, traditions, cultures, even relations. The action that was needed was he needed to pick up his bow and arrow and start killing or start shooting his own relatives. So, anyhow, coming back to this point, that our mind loves saying that last time this hurted me. So this time I'll overcorrect, not even respond the way that I responded during those situations. Of course, the lesson should be kept with you, but it should not become a rigidity in your life wherein you're just so fearful of taking any decision. A lot of us just go into these tendencies wherein we just keep on living in the past and in the future, either what has happened to us or what may happen to us, that we just miss out on the preciousness of life, on the preciousness of this moment. So due to this overreaction, this constant hypervigilance, hyper alertedness, hyper fear, it becomes a prison, a self-inducing prison of sorts. Now if I segment this to corporate section, how it destroys their career. Let's take this scenario that there's an employee. Let's call him the burnt employee, the burnout employee, which is very predominant in the corporate space. Some common patterns exist across the board is we have had bad bosses, toxic workplaces, a lot of us are being exploited by these evil people. Some people say there's no growth, but often that's a facade. So when they're moving into new companies, no growth becomes this sweet mirror to hide all these shitty things in the background. In reality, they themselves know that they're just moving up for the paycheck. They genuinely don't love their work. It's just a way to fit in neatly to the scripts of the society or what their parents demand from their life. Because even if one wants to take a risk, like one knows that one is being exploited, what is stopping them to quit their job? It's because of the bondages that they have in their life, either EMIs or whatever bondages they might have had. The major reason, one more reason which I've found is that no one would respect me if I quit my job. But anyhow, like people keep on working in toxic jobs, staying in from the long term of their life. Like if one wants to live to 90, 95, they die at 70, 75 because of all the stress that they have taken. You see a lot of people dying of heart attacks. There's a reason that's happening right now. But anyhow, so what this person does is they become overcautious, hyper alert to every small situation that can go haywire, paranoid about authority, that all people are just like that a-hole. A lot of people which I talk to have been bullied a lot in their school, in their colleges, and sometimes in their workplaces. So they just replay those patterns time and time again, and they become like paranoid about these people. Sometimes standing up is very important to authority so that you can just not be bullied anymore. But these patterns exist, and a lot of people also sometimes, due to these patterns, fear visibility. That if I become too visible in the eyes, I'll be picked upon. And I think a major reason for it ties down to our schooling, a pathetic schooling system. That the issues that we're fighting for is the type of socks you have worn, your paint is not pressed, the rubber is not there, the pencil is not there. Like, are these even any real realities that help a child in picking up the right battles? These are just egomaniacs, fearful teachers who just want to kill creativity and instill a sense of fake order in children so that there can be no rebelliousness and they can just keep doing their bullshit jobs. A lot of these patterns, if you introspect it, come from childhood and traumatic schooling experiences, which I feel a lot of us have had those traumatic experiences. Due to this whole ecosystem being created in the school, how we end up in life is we stop asking questions, we stop taking initiatives. Even if in corporate settings those same things are being replayed, we stop trusting people and teams around us because those same patterns are being played in our mind. We think that I won't let anyone take advantage of me again, and we become like very closed. We go into this sort of prison, but we fail to see that this job, the new job right now at hand, is not the old job. Like they are not any old peoples, but we are giving those old people the power when we are making them live through us in this current moment. That is where you want to make this subtle switch. And sometimes what happens, either people become very closed in their cocoon, or they start fighting image of a boss who does not even exist anymore, which just hampers their current reality. Now, how does it results? What are the results of this? Either stagnation, no one would promote you. There would be a lot of missed opportunities on promotion. A quiet resentment growing in your own mind and in the boss's mind and in your team's mind because of these weird patterns, and a sort of plateau. So this is what leads to burnout in general. There could be a lot more reasons. I can go a lot more deeper into it, but just to keep this point relevant to this video, I'll just stop here. A second scenario could be where a person is just hopping on jobs thinking that he's doing a very strategic thing in the long term. So let's say if someone has faced a sort of rejection or instability in their careers or in their lives in general. Now every small decision would be over analyzed by them. What if this company fails? What if this ruins my future? Sometimes sort of other weird things that just stop us from taking risks, like a youthful spirit at heart. So they prepare for every possible negative outcome. What this does is it ends up delaying action because of a loop that we go into, wherein we're just overthinking time and again, time and again. Now, if I take it from a war perspective, you know that a second of hesitation means death. So if you check a lot of documentaries on war, on military, and all of that, this is a very common line that if you hesitate for even a single second, you'll just be gone. You'll not be alive. In careers, this sort of hesitation that we bring upon, wherein we are not taking strategic action, we're just stuck. This leads to a phase wherein we are being extinct slowly from a career growth perspective and things like that. Now, what this does, let's say if I go into relationships where all this over strategizing kills genuine love, this is where damage becomes permanent because relationships hold a very important part in our lives. Let's say if a person has seen betrayal in their early relationships, one betrayal creates this rule that everyone lies, everyone manipulates, everyone leaves. And even if the current relationship, there could be something good that can happen out of it, we still respond to those previous and past partners or scripts. So then people become emotionally unavailable, testing partners constantly, withholding trust, withholding, let's say, a vulnerability sort of thing. A lot of people call it standards, but often what I have seen is it's like a lot of fear that is being justified by a weird logic because of all these patterns that might have happened. The only point is I'm doing this because in my past I've had such experiences. But if you look at it from a research literature perspective, trusting your own experiences is a very biased way of forming a balanced opinion because experiences just happen randomly to random people, and how you respond, how you were as a person is just changing on a spectrum. How you were, it's all the time changing. So a similar situation can be very different for two different people who are coming in that situation. So that's how it is. But due to all of this, you can say emotional neglect, whatever might have happened. I'm not discounting the pain, but just a general pattern. If someone grows up unheard, unseen, and dismissed by their partners, parents, they enter all these new relationships expecting that the other person would just abandon them. And whenever there is a healthy silence, they would read it as danger, overreacting to every small detail, creating fights for unnecessary reasons. So aren't responding to the present reality, the present partner. They are arguing with the ghosts of their past. You can see this pattern across the board. And a lot of relationships which could have become healthy just fail because of this incompatibility, because we are just living in the past. We don't want to upgrade ourselves, but we have grown into a cocoon of sorts. And then either both people just keep on fighting someone from their past with their present partner, and the script keeps on repeating again and again. Now, how does this ties down to on an online space? Because you might have seen with the recent trend, so the recent creators who were called out, the beer bicep and Samira thing. So they were mocked and attacked. Now they create this content from that fear. They not create content from a space of clarity. Same has not even created a video after that whole incident. And even if you look the content of Beer Bicep, now he's treading the waters very gently because of this need that in the future maybe we would have to over explain again, over defend again, over justify again. I'm not talking about them, but just a general pattern which you might have seen across the board, like any creator faces such things. They're not speaking or conversing with today's audience. They're arguing with the old bullies, the old naysayers, and old people who might have just exploited them, and they're just still speaking through them. This distorts their current message or the value that they can provide. I'm again reiterating this point that it's important to learn the lesson and just use that lesson whenever situations provide. It's not that you just carry these wounds throughout your life thinking that you're wise, but like in the long term, a lot of good opportunities, a lot of good relations that one can build, they're just gone out. Now, in the long term, it is very deadly because fighting the last war, which means that you're still fighting to the ghosts of past, might feel intelligent in the short term because it uses this experience as a crutch. It avoids the genuine pain that one might go into when one is dealing with the present situations. It feels like we're very prepared in life, but it has like a lot of flaws. First, it assumes that when we go into these patterns, we assume that our reality is static, it would never change. But you know that the only thing, the only constant in life is change. Reality keeps on changing due to a lot of moving variables. It turns our pain. We like wearing these badges of pain as our core identity. We stop adapting like water and we just start defending our past and whatnot. We just stop responding aptly to the present situation. And I've also seen that it just makes us predictable. Let's say if some people would want to come to you with new propositions, you would always respond, no, it's too risky, I wouldn't go into that. And then this leads to a predictability of sorts in your life wherein you're just, let's say, too by the book. And in life, you might have often seen that predictable people are very easy to manipulate, to be defeated. Even if I talk from a war perspective, which used to happen. But right now, since corporate careers, businesses are the new war, you just see the pattern. I'll just also read it from the book that if you put an empty god on the water and touch it, it will slip to one side. No matter how you try, it won't stay in one spot. The mind of someone who has reached the ultimate state does not stay with anything, even for a second. It's like an empty god on the water that is pushed around. So this is a very beautiful analogy that what's the core of this video, that we become flexible. When Bruce Lee talks about becoming like water, what he essentially means is having this flexible mind wherein we are not clinging a lot to events, we are not resisting any change that's coming to us, and we're not hardening ourselves, we're just moving with the flow of water like this empty god. A lot of us unfortunately harden a lot in our identities after pain. We become very rigid, but rigidity is not strength, it is fragility, it is weakness disguised as this toughness, as macho man and whatnot. So what can we do to practically stop fighting the last war? So there are like some practical insights. First is identifying the core wound, the original wound. Whenever any situation is happening, maybe a good habit would be you can just write out things, but just asking these three questions: that what exactly hurt me, who hurt me, what belief did I form? So having a very specific answer, not any vague answers. It happened like in the fog, so many people had come done this to me, so many people are evil and all of that. None of that shit. Be very specific with these questions: that what exactly hurt me, who hurt me, what belief did I form, because you're living from that belief right now. And now very important thing is you separate your memory from the reality that exists right now. Let's say your past experiences might say this will happen again. A question that you need to ask to ground yourself is, what data do I have right now? What evidence do I have right now? What are the cards that are there in front of me? A lot of us don't ask this question, but this is where you just make that subtle switch, that we're just responding to the present instead of the past. And very important is introduce principles in your life, not rules, rigid rules. A rule is never trust anyone, such gender is evil. Whereas a principle is, I'll just verify this person slowly and continuously. And due to this, when he or she creates a repetitive data through their actions, I'll start trusting them slowly. So principles are adaptive like water. You might have seen a lot of people in the startup industry talk about first principle thinking and all of that. It's very popularized by Elon Musk. But that is what he means, that you just break a problem down to the core and then think from ground up. So a similar thing could be said about your current reality. One more important thing is, whenever we get this clarity, what we do is we want to go into that extreme mindset that now I'll fix everything. I'll take this long overarching way until and unless that won't happen, I won't start changing even in the smallest of vicinity. This is where we need to flip that script, that act in very small and concrete steps. Don't overcorrect a lot of things that once so many metrics and whatnot would be fixed, only then I'll act. Just keep on testing reality in small and safe moves, but with a healthy risk. Similar to a war, when you go in a war, you just judge the terrain. If you're a general, you don't keep on retreating forever. You just judge the terrain, go forward in slow steps, then come back, go forward. Like a famous analogy exists, take 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. So in a similar limelight is what I'm trying to get at from a principle perspective. Even in life, don't have this all or nothing attitude. Just test reality in very small steps. And what happens if through this entire video you see that this bald man is just talking shit, I don't want to do anything? Well, then the onus is on you. And even if you continue fighting the last war, you will keep on sabotaging your life, the good people that would come on. You would just keep on sabotaging each and every one. You'll kill all your relationships, any good relationships. You'll miss any new opportunities. You'll start shrinking your life and become a grumpy old person, or a grumpy average person whom you see on the streets just responding to each and everything with a lot of anger. You'll start cloaking this safety as wisdom, that now I've lived life and so. In your heart, you know that you're acting from the center of fear. And one day you'll wake up tired, not because life defeated you. It's because you chose to be defeated by your hardships and obstacles and whatever life threw at you. Because you stopped moving forward. You never wanted to move forward. The pain and the power which you had given to your past demons, whatever it would be, situations, people, you just want to pedestalize them so much that you still want to ruin your gift of life. And this is what Robert Greene talks about, that the world does not punish naivety forever. Naivety is like a beginner's mind, but it punishes rigidity mercilessly. Our experiences should sharpen our perception because we have had these learning opportunities, not make us this hard fossil fuel sort of person that this is how things ought to be and things like that. If you don't adopt, your past will keep on commanding your present, this current self, and all of this would lead you to go into that fear mindset, that scarcity mindset, and then you would just project all of that into the future, and the future is made by the actions that you take right now. So for your whole life, you'll just keep on fighting the last war. Even you see this as a common trend among politicians, that whenever you ask them about accountability, they'll start attacking the past, that it is their problem and whatnot, deflecting accountability. And you, like an idiot, would start believing their lies instead of just being in the present, seeing that okay, right now how the state of affairs are of our planet, the climate change problem, the environmental problem, the overpopulation problem, and all of that. You'll think, oh no, because some idiot has sold a very compelling story to you without you even reading scientific literature, without you even reading scientific facts. You just believe those idiots and you keep on ruining your life, keep on fighting for all these petty issues wherein your attention is just diverted from the real issues to these issues so that they can keep exploiting you. Like, this entire chapter does not tell you to forget your past. It just tells you to stop choosing battles which are not yours in the first place. You just learn from your experiences, adapt, and move in a way wherein you're strategically, from a long-term perspective, winning. So this was a video which I wanted to share. Do write your comments, do let me know your opinions, what are your thoughts and insights. I'll start breaking these chapters in these detailed series so that these serves as reference points both for you and me. We can keep on coming back to these videos and building a community wherein there's like a lot of scientific thinking in a pursuit to break our own biases and challenge our own limitations. But anyhow, those are separate discussions. If you feel like having a one-on-one conversation with me on something that you're struggling with from a clarity perspective, feel free to book a call with me. You'll find the link in the description. Just write an email to me, a brief email, not a paragraph long email. Anyhow, do write in the comment section what limitations have you broken, and your learnings from this video. I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, this is Debu Pindra from Debu Ki Dastak signing off. Cheers.